Manchester United are planning a big summer bid for Harry Kane. It's been reported for many, many months now that he is the primary target of Eric Ten Hag, who wants to bolster the attack with a standout, a signature, a world-class number 9. Harry Kane is the record goal scorer for England, the record goal scorer for Tottenham, and is on course to become the biggest goal scorer and the highest goal scorer in the history of the Premier League. But with no trophies to his name, real legacy appears to be his target. Now, what has been reported by Matt Law this morning is that Man United are now doing their due diligence on that deal. We're going to delve into that in a bit more detail and also take a look at Wilfried Zaha to Arsenal and some strange news of Chelsea being linked to one of the biggest football players in the world. Make sure you hit the like and the share button. Download the One Football app right now. The best one-stop shop for football around. Let's do this. Welcome back to the Terrace. Make sure like buttons are hit. Get your comments in below as well. Man United, Harry Kane. This is probably going to be one of the stories of the summer. How long it takes to get done is anybody's guess. This could be a quick deal or it could be a long protruded one. I think it's going to be one of those two things. Reported today by Matt Law. I'm going to quote him directly. It says, according to the report from Telegraph's Matt Law, in an effort to get their business done as quickly as possible, Man United have already started to do their due diligence ahead of a potential summer offer. Now, what does this mean? And what does this look like? Well, due diligence is very much talking to the player's representation, getting an understanding as to whether or not the player would want to join. Remember that 90% of transfers, 95% of transfers, maybe even higher, maybe 99%, often the buying club will get personal terms agreed and get a really good understanding from the player himself before making a bid as to whether or not that individual would want to join, what the personal terms would look like, squad status requirements, etc. Very rarely do you get a situation. Arsenal kind of bucked this trend a little bit in the January 2022 window when they were bidding for Vlahovic before he'd agreed that he would join Arsenal. That's a very rare occurrence. It's very much you do the deal with the player individually. Whether the phrase is personal terms agreed or personal terms will be no problem, it doesn't really matter. Then you move on to negotiate with Tottenham. But in terms of this due diligence, it will be working with Harry Kane, talking to his representation, which is his brother, about what he would want, salary, squad status, etc. Then what will now start to happen is Man United, via intermediaries, will start to talk to Tottenham Hotspur. They won't go in directly with an official bid early. It will be very much trying to understand how much money they want, what it would take to get this deal over the line, and all the steps in between that. But this is very much a deal which I think most Man United fans want to see get done in terms of a top-class number 9. Of course, a lot of people want Victor Osimhen, who has had a brilliant year at Napoli, one of the best I wouldn't even call him that up and coming. He's 24 years of age. He's not a youngster per se anymore. A lot of people want him. For me, I've got to be true to myself. I've always said Harry Kane would be my number 1 pick. I know that he's a bit older. I know he doesn't have as long left in the game as Osimhen does. However, I do believe he's the best number 9 in the world that is attainable for Manchester United, and we need that. His ability on the ball, plus his goal-scoring prowess, I think is going to help elevate Manchester United towards title contention next year. But I want your thoughts and feelings in the comments section below. Now, going to North London, a really interesting story today. But all these stories are available on the One Football app to get it downloaded. There's talk that Arsenal and Chelsea are reportedly amongst clubs hovering for the potential transfer of Wilfried Zaha this summer. He has been offered a new £10 million a year deal to stay at Crystal Palace. So they have offered him a lot of money to remain, somewhere in the region of around £200,000 per week has been offered to him. So it would take a fair amount of money, potentially, for Chelsea or for Arsenal to bring him in. He'd be a free transfer, so salaries are always typically higher. He's a player that was linked with a £70 million move to Arsenal 4 to 5 years ago. They ended up going for Pepe, and I wonder now if that was the right move to make. Wilfried Zaha is such an interesting player. There is definitely skill there, there's definitely quality there, definitely a lot of ability. Is there always end product? I've someone that's always been a little bit scathing of him, and that isn't because I have any issue with him personally. It's purely when people have told me better than Rashford, or I've seen people in the last year say better than Saka, and he's older than those guys. But I've always felt I'm going by the fact that two of those guys are at Man United and Arsenal, delivering in the England squad, delivering at World Cups. And I just look at Zaha's career, and it's kind of he's had a good career at Crystal Palace, but since leaving Manchester United nearly a decade ago now, he just hasn't got back to the elite end of the spectrum within the Premier League. So I've always been a little bit reluctant to say he's of the same level as the inside forwards and the wingers doing it at the biggest clubs in the world. But on a free transfer, this could be an interesting piece of business for both Arsenal and Chelsea, who have been heavily linked with this player. The fact that you're not parting with a huge transfer fee, yes, there's going to be probably a large salary offered, anywhere between 150 to 250,000 pound a week, but great backup, especially for Arsenal with their young squad. Martinelli and Saka are the future on their flanks, but somebody like Wilfried Zaha, I think, would come in and really push them hard now. He is great cover for rotation. He's great cover for injuries, and along with Trossard as well. Suddenly, you start to look at that Arsenal attack with Gabriel Jesus, Trossard, Zaha, Saka, Martinelli, and it looks really deep and powerful. And that is what Arsenal need to do this summer. It's about strengthening their squad so that when there is one or two injuries, when they do need to rotate, they still are able to maintain the quality. Champions League football coming, it means essentially 2 games per week for large parts of the season where you're not able to rest and rotate. And it doesn't matter. Like, I think it does matter when you go out of the League Cup early. I think it does matter when you go out of the Europa League early, but you can't play it down when it's the Champions League. There's no way out. There's no excuse that a fan base can come together with and push through. So I think it's going to be very, very interesting to see what Zaha does. What is your take on it? What are your views? Let me know below. There was another story today that I really thought was interesting, that Chelsea could revive their interest in PSG superstar this summer. And I looked at it and I thought to myself, no Chelsea fan on planet Earth is going to believe this. There's no Chelsea fan in the world who is going to believe there is an opportunity or a chance to sign Neymar this summer. Now, I know some of you have probably already commented without getting to this section and what I've got to say on it and go, no way this deal's happening. And I agree with you wholeheartedly. This is from the Daily Mail and the Mirror, who have said that, according to the Daily Mail, said that the Paris Saint-Germain president is prepared for a number of stars to leave this summer, and Chelsea, who've had a long-standing interest in Neymar, could be back in for the player again, as Todd Boehly looks to add further to his star-studded squad. I just don't see it. Even if Poch is the manager, I just don't see it. I don't see Neymar coming to England. I don't see Chelsea having the ability right now, with everything going on, to bring in a player like him. And I don't actually think Neymar's what they need. And I don't mean on quality, on ability, on outputs. This man is elite. But they need people to galvanize this squad together. And I just don't think that Neymar is that individual, personally. Now, some of you may disagree. You may want to educate me on that. And I'm always here to listen. But for me right now, I'd say this to Chelsea fans: I'd ignore those stories. I'd ignore each and every single one of those stories. But listen, everyone who's tuned in today, I want to say a big thank you to you. Hit the like and the share buttons. Make sure you're subscribing to The Terrace. Until next time, take care. Goodbye. God bless. And I'll see you all again very, very soon. Peace.